please remain standing for prayer, and I will invite Pundit Bhavnath Maharaj, then Imam Noor Ishmael, then Pastor Gabriel Henderson. Pundit, please.
Thank you very much. Let us all humble ourselves in prayerful submission to the Divine Master and Lord of the universe, the unqualified divinity. As you want guidance in your deliberations this evening, and may the best judgment prevail. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashainam Padmanabham Shuresham Veshwadharam Gagana Sadrisham Meghavaranam Subhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanainam Yogi Virdhyanagamyam Vande Vishnu Bhaubhaiharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. O Lord, guide all of us to the straight path, the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim. And when our service is finished, let this nation be the wiser and the better for the service upon which we now embark. We humbly ask your blessing. Amen.
Shall we continue in prayer tonight? Father in heaven, we thank you, God, and praise your name for your goodness, your love, and your blessing, and for this wonderful country of Trinidad and Tobago, under the distinguished leadership of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, cabinet ministers and parliamentarians who keep this country moving forward and onward. Thank you, dear God, for yet another opportunity for internal elections which is carried for Sunday coming, oh God in heaven. May you bless Dr. Rowley and his team in a very special way, that when the last vote is counted on Sunday night, Dr. Keith Rowley will continue as the political leader of the People's National Movement. And oh God in heaven, grant him another term as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. We thank you, dear God, for the leadership, especially Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis, as she head the table with other speakers tonight. Also Mrs. Glenda Jennings Smith, the representative for Togo Sangre Grande, and especially the chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, councils, and all the men who have put all things in place for this meeting tonight. Father, we pray that you would bless all those who shall speak from this microphone tonight, that we ourselves, supporters of Team Rowley, we shall continue to march forward under the banner of the People's National Movement. Surround this place, O God, with your love and your angels, and when time shall be no more and thou art pleased to come, save your people in your kingdom, we pray. In Jesus' name with thanksgiving, amen.
Thank you very kindly. Please be seated. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very kindly to the members of the clergy. This evening we want to do something just a little different, and we're going to ask Peter Regis to give us a rendition in song. Peter Regis. No, he's not related to me.
Good evening. Is this one? Yeah? Which should I use? This? This? Okay, we got this one going. This one given to me. Good evening, everybody. Hello. I'm thanking God today for the opportunity extended to me to be a blessing to you. And I want to thank especially Mr. Terry Rondon, a true man of the people, who extended the invitation to me to be here with you this evening. How many of you believe you are a believer? You are a believer? Put your hand up if you are a believer. I want to encourage us to continue to believe in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. Though I can't see your holy face or your throne in heaven above, it seems so far away. And though I can't touch your nail-scarred hands, there is a deep, unspeakable joy that makes my faith to soar. Lord, I believe in you. I'll always believe in you. Though I can't see your holy face, deep in my heart there is your grace. Lord, I believe in you. I'll always believe in you. Let this whole world say what they may, no one can take this love away. Lord, I believe. Sent from above, you were God's only chosen one. You are the one and only true way to the Father's heart. You died for my sins, then you rose right up again, conquering death and the grave, so that I might live. Oh Lord, I believe in you. I'll always believe in you. Though I can't see you with my eyes, deep in my heart your presence I find. Lord, I believe in you, and I'll keep my trust in you. Let this whole world, let them say what they may, no one can take this love away. Lord, I believe. How many of you really believe? Put up your right hand, say, I believe. Lord, I believe in you. I'll always believe in you. Even though I can't see you with my eyes, deep in my heart your presence I find. Lord, I believe in you, and I'll keep my trust in you.
Thank you very much, Peter Regis. We really appreciated that. Give him another round of applause, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here in Sangre Grande, in the constituency of Toco Sangre Grande. And I want to take this opportunity to ask the chairman of the corporation to bring words of welcome. Councillor Terry Rondon, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. PNM people. PNM people. Let me immediately recognize the political leader, Dr. Keith Rowley is on his way, our MP, Ms. Glenda Jennings-Smith. Let me hear some noise, man. Let me recognize Ms. Regis, always with us in Toco Sangre Grande. Ms. Jennifer Batiste, always here with us also. Our candidates, who we voting for? Like Olea Shaw, who we voting for? Let me recognize the pastors, the pundit, the imam, and all you beautiful people who come out here today, this evening at this center, to hear about what PNM have to offer after you put this slate into the position that we can benefit. Madam Chair, we in Sangre Grande, we in the river, we in Mayaro, we fully support Dr. Rowley and his team. You see, we in the East, we full of common sense, you know. We look at the other slate, and I can tell you what they have to offer. Nothing. But we know that Dr. Rowley and his team come in to build, while others want to mash up. Dr. Rowley and his team want to build, and this is what we want. We want those of you all who came up here this evening. You see why we lobbying for a highway? Because of the jam, that terrible jam. And this is what Dr. Rowley and his team already put in place. So folks, I'm saying to you all, vote wisely. Vote for a team that's going to take us forward. Vote for a team that you know that at the end of the day, all they are thinking about is to build in Trinidad and Tobago. Folks, I support the team, and I ask that team under Dr. Keith Rowley one favor. And the favor is this, that when selecting a candidate, please go to the village. Go and ask the people in the village who they would like to represent. I've seen it. People go up to Balize House and they make all kind of promises. And when you vote them in, they're coming to meeting, they're supporting the executive, they're talking PNM bad, don't talk, they don't want to see their constituents. So I beg you, the executive, send people out to the community and ask the people who you would like to represent you. That's my wish. That's my call. And I'm going to support you all. I tell you, Toco Sangre Grande, who we supporting? Mayaro, who we supporting? River, who we supporting? All you know, when somebody make a mistake, go to put all your hand. River, Kumoto Manzalena, who you support? I should have done that before and I get all the thing. Let me thank you, Madam Chair, and all those who come. My good friend Avinash Chair. We have Laurel Lizama, Foster Cummins. We have Indar and Mr. Young. Thank you. And may God bless each and every one of us tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I suspect that Mr. Chairman didn't say it loudly enough. Who is supporting? Toko, who is supporting? Sangre Grande, who is supporting? Nariva, who is supporting? Kumuto, who is supporting? Manzanilla, who is supporting? Tobago, who is supporting? Right, okay. Mayaro, who you supporting? Valencia, who you supporting? Point 14, who you supporting? Oh, come. Okay. So, I'm going to ask the Member of Parliament to also bring remarks. Member of Parliament, Glenda Jennings-Smith. You see how you all make me shout and mash up my throat? And I still have to talk, you know. Daryl Duku. Anyway, please welcome to the podium the Member of Parliament, Glenda Jennings-Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I will start from the end. Who is supporting? I ain't hearing all you at all. Who is supporting? So tonight, I want to welcome all my colleagues who are up for this election, internal election, come September 30th. But I want to stand here this afternoon and let you know that I am endorsing a team. I am not about patchwork. I am not about patchwork, and you know what I mean by that? When I stand here, I stand solidly to support a team, and the team is Team Rowley. So tonight, I want to thank you all for being here. Your presence tonight here tells us that we are ready for September 30th. And it tells me that if you come from Miaro, if you come from Kumuto, if you come from Manzanilla, and if you come from Sangre Grande, that you go in and bring, every one of you all bring in 100 people to vote September 30th. I want to hear you with that one. Because sitting on here tonight, I estimate this crowd to be I wouldn't say the figure, but I want to multiply that number to get the total amount for Toko Sangre Grande, for Miaro, for Kumoto Manzanilla, for Valencia, for Point 14, for Tobago, for Arima, Cuba South, but more importantly, I want to say here that everyone that's standing beside me tonight, who are sitting, as you see, some sitting behind, some sitting in front of me, they represent creme de la creme. You can't get better than that. You see, we in the country, we like to talk about punch a cream. Well, they represent creme de la creme. And that is why, between today and voting day, we have to go outside here to make sure that at the end of it, our leader will have the team that he desires to work with. You would have been hearing a lot of talk. Persons calling you on the telephone. Be careful. Be careful. We're looking at team building. We're looking at visionary people. We're looking at a leader who wants to take this country a particular place. And this team forms his nucleus. And they are the people who he has selected to take us where we want to be. So ladies and gentlemen, my constituents, Toko Sangre Grande, who you voting? And who you voting? And who you voting for vice chair? Team Rowley. Who you voting for vice chair? I want you all to get it in your head, you know. Get it in your head tonight. Tonight, I wouldn't say tonight is the Congo night. We're talking about September the 30th. We have some work to do. Support a winning team. Support a winning candidate. Support a candidate who we have selected for you. Support a candidate who will deliver in their respectful positions. I know we have a meeting with a lot of speakers here tonight. I was only called to say welcome. So I want to welcome each and every one of you tonight, especially the candidates on Team Rowley, whom I love, whom I appreciate, and tonight, whom I will officially and publicly endorse from now until September 30th and beyond. Best wishes, Team Rowley, Team Rowley, Team Rowley, great is the PNM, great is the PNM. Team Rowley, we will prevail. Team Rowley.
Thank you very kindly to the Member of Parliament. You all noticed she didn't welcome you all until the end, right? But she did welcome you all eventually. Well done, Glenda. Members of the Team Red and Rowley slate who are here with us tonight, Chairman of the Corporation, Member of Parliament for the Toko Sangre Grande area, Chairman of the People's National Movement constituency of Toko Sangre Grande, members of the executive of the constituency, ladies and gentlemen, members of the council. Tonight, we are on our countdown to September 30th, which is the date of the internal elections, and which, after those elections, it will herald the continuation of the work of Keith Rowley as the political leader of the People's National Movement, the fourth political leader of this great party. Ladies and gentlemen, there is always something special when the PNM bandwagon rolls into this constituency. It's a different feeling, and many political pundits argue that in a general election, the party that wins Toko Sangre Grande wins the election. Well, that was true in 2015 when a newcomer to politics, Glenda Jennings-Smith, put a sound licking on her opponents to become the PNM standard bearer in the easternmost part of our country. The outcome was no different in 2016, when the team, led by Terry Rondon, inflicted yet another dose of licks on the UNC and all other contenders in the local government elections. There is one common thread, and that thread is the leadership of Keith Christopher Rowley, who has just arrived. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the leader of Team Red and Rowley.
We are
I repeat, elected unopposed. Those candidates were selected at the time for the general election, for the local government election, and were part of a team. So when this slate of candidates chosen by the political leader, because he has determined that these people are real, these are the people that are experienced, and these are the people who are dependable, that is red. These are the people who our political leader has determined will work best with him. And tonight we are saying that we support Team Red and Rowley. We know that Team Red and Rowley will repeat the victory because some members of the team are already elected unopposed. Jennifer Batiste Primus, elected unopposed as Labor Relations Officer. Jocelyn Bodden, elected unopposed as Welfare Officer. Camille Robinson Regis, elected unopposed as Lady Vice Chairman. Camille Robinson Regis, elected. Ladies and gentlemen, the political leader has assembled a team that is characterized by the breadth and depth of knowledge we possess in this party. It is a team that is passionate about what we do and is a team that is passionate in good times and in bad. This team walked the walk and talked the talk. This team is composed of people who are experienced and even more so, who are dependable. And that is what we want for our People's National Movement. I want you to remember what Kamala didn't say about young Avinash, our candidate for the position of social media officer, is what she forgot when he became a candidate for the PNM. And the only reason she said that is because he is East Indian and because he is Hindu. Remember how she said, we are taking one of their children, ladies and gentlemen? But he made the free and democratic choice to align himself with the only true political party in Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement. The members of Team Red and Rowley are men and women who have been tried and tested in the crucibles of fire and have withstood the test and have proven their mettle. Those opposed to the team have found a new whipping boy in Indar Parasram. But amidst those accusations, Indar continues to demonstrate that despite his height, he is willing to soar above any of those who are opposed to him. He is willing to soar to the highest heights in his support for Team Red and Rowley. Ladies and gentlemen, ours, therefore, is the mission to take the PNM forward. The slate that has been presented by our political leader is, as he has said, persons who have shown an aptitude and the right attitude. For the PNM is the party that can take this country forward. And once the executive and the leadership of the PNM is strong and remains committed, the PNM and its membership will remain strong and committed. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are here as the Red Rowley slate presenting to you our candidates for the various positions that are still to be contested. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and I start the first presentation of our candidates. You all could give me a round of applause. So ladies and gentlemen, for social media officer, we have Avinash Singh. Avinash, as you know, is a senator. He is also parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries. Avinash has been a committed member of the PNM and continues to be committed and is presenting himself with the support of Dr. Rowley for the position of social media officer. For youth officer, the Red and Rowley slate presents to you Ndale Young. Young for youth. Ndale also acts as a temporary senator. He represents the constituency of Barataria San Juan at the General Council. And he continues to advocate for the young people in our party and in Trinidad and Tobago. For youth officer, Ndale Young. Ladies and gentlemen, for the position of election officer, Indar Parasram. Indar Parasram has campaigned in Trinidad and in Tobago as campaign manager in both islands. He has been in the PNM for over 25 years. He is also at present the field officer of the PNM, and he has done an excellent job as field officer. For elections officer, Indar Parasram. For the position of public relations officer, Laurel Lezama Leasing. Laurel has served our party from the age of 12. So she's been in the party now for 2 years. Laurel has served as a senator. She has served in various positions in this party. She has served as chairman of the Youth League and in various other positions. Laurel is presenting herself with the support of Team Rowley as the public relations officer of the PNM. And tonight, on behalf of this part of our slate, I'll ask Laurel to say a few words. Laurel?
Two weeks ago, I went down San Fernando, and I thought down there had all the tempo, but Sangre Grande for the win tonight. Thank you very much, Madam Lady Vice Chairman and Chairman of this evening's proceedings, the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis. Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, our indefatigable and incomparable political leader and Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago. My colleagues on Team Red and Rowley, those of us who are still contending at the polls, and those of you who have already been elected unopposed. The chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, your very own Terry Rondon, Mr. Hospitality in the PNM, a man of distinguished service to our party, members of the corporation, Honorable Member of Parliament, Mrs. Glenda Denning-Smith, and my friends from Toco Sangre Grande. Anybody here from Kumoto, Manzanilla? Anybody here from the river? Nobody. Anybody here from Couva South? Couva South, you know you will always hold a very special place in my heart. It's wonderful to see you up here in Sangre Grande this evening. You know, on the drive up here, a friend said a very profound statement in our car. And because I don't believe in plagiarism, I have to say I borrowed this from a friend. She was speaking about another sphere of activism in this country, but it was so relevant to what I need to say to you here tonight. And I quote her, but I will add my own flavor to it. I have walked the road of activism. And when I see those with clay feet, I must pound that road harder. And I must pull everybody together. And we must work together to ensure that our PNM prevails in its quest to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You see, we came out of a very hard time between 2010 and 2015. And anybody who wishes to challenge the sterling leadership of Dr. Rowley over those past 10 years is somebody who is either not right in their mind or somebody who is unpatriotic and does not love our party and our country. Has he not served us tremendously well for the 10 years? Has he not taken us out of the depths, the abysmal depths that the UNC plunged us into 2010 to 2015? Why is it then, now, in 2018, 3 years after he worked incredibly hard, surrounded by his PNM army, why is it now that we are trying to topple the vision for the PNM and further for Trinidad and Tobago? Can anybody tell me why? Plain man? At the end of the day, we are a democracy, and you're free to offer yourself in any capacity you wish. My personal belief is when I ensured that I, individually, did not support anybody else as political leader, my plan is to support my political leader in any and every possible way. So when my political leader and I had a discussion about my serving the PNM as a public relations officer, how could I say no? How could I say no? When he asked Mrs. Batiste Primus, I'm sure Mrs. Batiste Primus did not say no. We see her here unopposed. I have found myself in a situation where I'm being challenged, and I'm okay with that because I am doing what I have to do to serve my party, and I'm depending on each and every one of you in here tonight to cast your vote for Team Red and Rowley. You see, we are 6 days away from the internal election. Today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 Sunday. You all didn't even pick up on that. We're 5 days away from the internal election. So that's 4 sleeps away from the internal election. And we have found ourselves as the People's National Movement really in an interesting but challenging situation. A number of persons have offered themselves, as is their right, and a number of us have stood rank and file behind our political leader. And together, we propose to really and truly build our PNM party to ensure that we are so well equipped that when local government comes in 2019, when general elections come in 2020, and when any other election comes, we are in such a position that nobody could shake the vision of the PNM for Trinidad and Tobago. And that vision is being executed by none other than Dr. Rowley and his government. So tonight, our Mistress of Ceremonies would have told you that I have previously served as the party's youth officer, as well as the party's Youth League chairman. One of my first interventions as the National Youth League chairman was to come right here. At the time, the constituency was Toco Manzanilla, and Miguel Pear was the chairman of the constituency, of the Youth League, and Jose Tid, who I suspect is here somewhere. He's downstairs. Jose, we've remained very good friends. Jose was the youth officer. And we came here to put together a functioning youth league in a critical seat. And I have to compliment Toco, then Manzanilla, now Toco Sangre Grande, on your steadfast loyalty to the PNM. And tonight, I want to ask Toco Sangre Grande and environs, and more so, the young people in Toco Sangre Grande and the young people in the People's National Movement to remain steadfast and loyal to our party. You see, none of the young people in whom I am so pleased because they've become such confident young people would have had an opportunity, the opportunities that they have now, had it not been for the People's National Movement. Right, Paul? Paul Mangalas is my very good friend. He served as the vice chairman of the National Youth League when I was the Youth League's youth officer. And Paul is a very good example of PNM youth loyalty. He has offered himself. Sometimes he gets through, sometimes he doesn't. But he has never sought to shake the party in any way that it can cause chaos and confusion. Eric Williams said to us that the alternative to the PNM is chaos. That's correct. And please permit me to thank God for Eric Williams, because today is the 107th anniversary of his birth. So it is his PNM, and now Dr. Rowley's PNM, that continues to provide very, very good support and opportunities for the young people of Trinidad and Tobago, which includes our young people born and bred within the bowels of the PNM. And I put out a special plea to the young people tonight, those of you here, those of you listening on radio, and those of you who will watch these YouTube videos later on in some form of social media. The PNM will always be your partner in life. You will always have the chance to challenge the status quo. But at this point in time, I need to ask you to look into the mirror and ask yourself, if, and I will only use myself, if Laura Lizama-Leasing is not your public relations officer, who will tell the story of the PNM properly? If Foster Cummings is not our general secretary, who will whip Balize House into a straight ship? If Colm Imbert is not the chairman of our party, with whom will Dr. Rowley have an intimate and trusting relationship to really build our party and take us into the future? And I can talk on and on about each of the candidates, but I don't need to do that, because Dr. Rowley has on every occasion spoken to his confidence in these people. And that is not to say that when you elect me as your PRO, I will not call upon the person challenging me to serve. I know the young man. I don't think he's ready, but I know him. He serves effectively as a social media officer in his constituency. And he serves the party, he has served the party quite well. But it is my humble view that you will not get a better public relations officer for the PNM at this time than Laura Lizama-Leasing. And so, I simply ask you to help me as I seek through my portfolio to build the PR machinery of this party. I have spoken to my intention to reintroduce the Magnum newspaper, to operationalize a media center, to develop strategic storyboards so that we can tell the PNM story, so we could talk about Eric Williams' birthday and the 107 years since his birth. The establishment of internal mechanisms for true and relevant feedback. That's something that's very important. Communications is a two-way thing, you know. It can't just be me talking to you all or Dr. Rowley talking to you all. You all need to be honest and get back to him. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my projections for the future, I'll call it the Sangre Grande Accord. And that is my Sangre Grande Accord to you when you make me your next public relations officer. And so, after the next 4 sleeps and you wake up Sunday morning, you know what we say? Say your prayers, brush your teeth, feed your belly, take care of your family. If you're going to church first, go to church first. But ensure that you pull out every single eligible PNM vote. It is vital that every person who has that opportunity takes full advantage of that opportunity. And that you find out where your polling station is in your constituency. It's 1 per constituency, Madam Chairman. It's one polling station per constituency. So find out where your polling station is. Make your arrangements for your transport. Poll everybody. Move as a party group. Move as an electoral district. And come out on September the 30th. So that on the night of September the 30th, we can all with one joyful accord say, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we have ensured that it prevails. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Laurel. And isn't it obvious that she would make an excellent public relations officer? Ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons why it is important to have a team that Dr. Rowley can work effectively with in Balizé House for the PNM is that the PNM, whether in government or in opposition, plans what it is doing for Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, the People's Charter was brought to us by Dr. Williams on the 10th anniversary of the PNM. That was 1966. And the PNM, whenever the PNM is in government or, unfortunately, is in opposition, we plan. So that this People's Charter talks about education policy, labor policy, social programs. And in order to plan, you need a good team of people around you. A good team of people that you can trust, a good team of people in whom you have confidence. On that team for this election on September 30th is Abden Mason, who is presenting himself as field officer of the People's National Movement. Abden Mason is the mayor of Point Fortin. He has served as chairman of the Youth League. He has served in various other capacities in our party. He is real, he is experienced, and he is dependable. Abden Mason for the position of field officer. And ladies and gentlemen, one of our most real candidates is none other than the candidate for the position of operations officer. And that person is none other than Irene Hines, who is a member of our General Council, has served us as a councillor in the Diego Martin Corporation, and continues to serve as an alderman in the corporation. Irene has served in the position of operations officer. And for the life of me, I can't understand why anybody would challenge Irene Hines. Irene Hines, ladies and gentlemen, for the position of Operations Officer. And ladies and gentlemen, the person who has to keep Valley's House ticking is the General Secretary. And in our slate, the person who will be the General Secretary of the PNM is none other than Foster Cummings. Foster Cummings was the youngest chairman of a constituency at the age of 19. He was chairman of Couva South. He has served in the position of youth officer male. He is currently on the General Council. He serves now as a senator in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. He has served in various other positions in the party. Ladies and gentlemen, Foster Cummings for the position of General Secretary. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Abden Mason for the position of Field Officer, Irene Hines for Operations Officer, and Foster Cummings for General Secretary. I'll now ask Foster Cummings to speak with us. Foster.
Thank you, Lady Vice Chairman of the PNM, the Honorable Camille Robinson-Regis, our political leader and Prime Minister, the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Member of Parliament, Glenda Jennings, Chairman of the Corporation, my friend Terry Rondon, all other dignitaries and members of Parliament, members of Team Red and Rowley, my colleagues at the back, all winners, all winners, all winners. When I see some of the Zandolis that have crawled out of the hole after not seeing them around for a very, very long time, while the hard work was taking place, and now that the harvest is ripe, they're with their bags and their basket ready to reap the harvest. I know how hard our leader must have it. But I say to him, when you pray in the morning, all you can say, as David said, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Because being a leader is not a Mickey Mouse job. It takes strength, it takes determination, it takes perseverance, it takes some brain matter and brain power. And I can tell you that the man from Mason Hall is the right leader at the right time in Trinidad and Tobago. So that they realized they couldn't challenge him. Because you know, the ladies of the PNM, the Women's League of the PNM, I know from the time I joined the PNM in 1987, don't mess with the Women's League. Don't interfere with the Women's League, because the Women's League, they are the backbone of the PNM. And what I know about the Women's League is that they protect their leader. So that when man thought that they could have come around the leader, there was one dancing all over the place every Friday, making some noise, and I thought he would come. But when he looked left and he looked right, and he saw the power of the People's National Movement Women's League, he said, I ain't coming in that fight at all. And so they changed their strategy to surround the leader with some people who, in my opinion, are neither loyal to party, to leader, or themselves. And therefore, a leader has to identify talent, but not just talent, a group of persons who are dedicated and committed to the people's national movement and who will support their leader come hell or high water. Because the opposition is not from within. We may have some people squirmishing about little things, and mostly it's about things that they don't get when they want it. But the real opposition is outside of the PNM, and therefore the PNM has to take its strongest talent and bind it together so that we can beat the UNC over and over and over and over and over. And so when you look to select a party chairman, you're not looking for OJT. This is not, with all due respect to our Minister of Labor, this is not OJT time in the PNM. This is a time when you need to find someone who has experience, who has served in the parliament for over 25 years, who has served as vice chairman of the PNM, who has served as a member of parliament and a minister of government. Call me Imbert as PNM party chairman come September the 30th. This is not a time for someone who has never served in party office before, has never held a position of officer in the PNM. When you're looking to promote somebody as your party chairman, you want someone with some experience for the job. And I tell you tonight, the man for the job of chairman is none other than Colm Imbert, the member of parliament for Diego Martin Northeast. And then when you're looking for a general secretary, and you have someone who joined the PNM in 1987, was chairman of a constituency at age 19, served in several offices at the National Youth League level, a member of the General Council for the last 25 years, and before that 3 years as an observer from the National Youth League, a total of 28 years of service at the General Council of the PNM. When you have someone who served as youth officer male of the movement, and I dare say the Youth League was the best it could ever be under that gentleman. When you have someone who served as field officer of the party, and I dare say constituencies were well organized and well oiled under his stewardship. When you have someone who is currently serving as election officer of the People's National Movement, and I dare say we have not lost a single election under his stewardship. When you're looking for a general secretary of the People's National Movement, you could not find a more qualified candidate than Foster Cummings for the position of general secretary. As I said, it's not about OJT. I went to the Tobago Council conference some days ago, and the political leader gave a remarkable speech to our Tobago counterparts. And in spite of that, while I was returning, I met a passenger at the airport. And she said to me, you know, I really want to support you, you know, but I'd already given him a word to this nice young man. He sounds so nice, and you know, he's not on the slate, so I feel sorry for him, and I tell him I will vote for him. I had my boarding pass in my hand. I say, I ain't going on that plane. Her flight was later than mine. I told the lady at the counter, I can't catch my flight. Could you put me on the flight with this lady 2 hours after? And I sat down to work. I know I had a time. And she talked and she talked and she talked. And when I was finished, she said, well, you convinced me, you know. So I had to spend 2 hours. It was one vote. But I know the lady in her community of Bethel is a very influential party activist. So I said, if I get on that plane, although it's one person, she could go back and influence more. So tonight I can tell the Prime Minister, Bethel, Mount Irving voting red and Rowley on the 30th. I had planned to give you some of my plans, but you know, sometimes you can't always stick to script. But what I want to say to you party members tonight, we have a local government election in 2019. We have a general election in 2020. We have a Tobago House of Assembly election in 2021. This is a very serious time in the organization of the PNM. To make sure that the PNM is an unbeatable election machine, you must support the red and Rowley slate. Because to do anything else will be to surround our political leader with a bunch of aspirants who might be ambitious, but whose agenda we are not clear about. And once we are unclear about your agenda, we cannot trust you. So tonight, vote for the red and Rowley slate. Support Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Give him an executive. Mayaro, Komoto Manzalina, Toko Sangre Grande. I see some people here from Arima. There's a posse here from Couva South. Where's Couva South? All and sundry, east, west, north, and south. We had a political leader who used to say, we will beat them in the east, we will beat them in the west, we will beat them in the north, and we will beat them in the south. And tonight I tell you, we will be victorious on September the 30th with your support. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
Thank you very kindly, General Secretary of the People's National Movement. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Foster Cummings is the only person who can effectively serve as General Secretary come September 30th and beyond. And let me remind you that we are in the process of building a new Balizé house. Isn't Foster Cummings the best person to take us on that path? We are in the process of ensuring local government reform and ensuring that we of the PNM direct that. Isn't Dr. Rowley and Foster Cummings, aren't they the best persons to take us on that path? We are in the process of ensuring that come 2020, the PNM is again victorious. Isn't Dr. Rowley and Foster Cummings the best persons on the executive of the PNM to take us along that path? Those are the things that you have to remember, ladies and gentlemen. We are electing a team who can work effectively with Dr. Rowley to take us along the path to victory. And ladies and gentlemen, on that team is the indefatigable Robert Lehant, who is presenting himself for the position of Vice Chairman of the PNM. Mr. Lehant has served in various capacities in our party, in the General Council, as chairman of constituencies including La Hoqueta, Faizabad, and several other constituencies. He's also serving as a senator and as Minister of Public Utilities for the position of Vice Chairman Robert Lehant. And ladies and gentlemen, our slate has every stripe. And one person who we are calling the patriarch of the PNM is the person who's going for the position of Education Officer. And that is none other than Overrun Padmore. Mr. Padmore has served this party as the Minister of National Security the Minister of Public Utilities, the Minister of Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, a walking encyclopedia, Overrun Padmore for the position of Education Officer. Ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt, Colum Imbert has come outside. He has served us as Vice Chairman of the PNM. He has been the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast for over 25 years. He is one of the persons who is real. He is experienced beyond compare, and he has proven himself to be dependable. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find no better person to serve as chairman of our beloved party than Colum Imbert. He now serves as the Minister of Finance. And let me just indicate that the chairman of the party is the head of the executive. It means that he is the person in charge of the public relations officer, the social media officer, the youth officer, the elections officer, the labor relations officer, the assistant general secretary, the field officer, the general secretary, the welfare officer, the vice chairman, the education officer, the operations officer. But he's not in charge of the lady vice chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our candidates for the positions of Vice Chairman, Robert Lehunt, for the position of Education Officer, Overrun Padmore, and for the position of Chairman, Colum Imbert. I now invite Colum Imbert to address us. Colum.
Thank you, Camille. Before I recognize the political leader, I think the chairman in charge of the lady vice chairman too, eh? Just be aware of that. Political leader of the People's National Movement, Dr. Keith Rowley, my cabinet colleague and lady vice chairman of the PNM, Ms. Camille Robinson-Regis, other members of Team Rowley, members of the PNM in Sangre Grande, members of the regional corporation, our chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, visitors. I noticed Foster brought a whole side from Cuba, but that's all right. I should only have family up here, as I do. It's a real pleasure to speak to you tonight, and it's a real pleasure and an honor to be asked by Dr. Rowley to be his candidate for chairman on his slate, Team Rowley. We've had a little tussle with other candidates this week. They don't want us to identify ourselves as Team Rowley. I wonder why. You know, some of them are going around and saying they're supporting Dr. Rowley, but they're not on his slate, eh? But they're supporting Dr. Rowley as leader. I understand some of them are even publishing lists or making up lists with all the unopposed candidates, such as Camille Robinson-Regis, Jocelyn Bodden, Jennifer Baptiste Primus, our political leader, Dr. Rowley, Howard Chinley, who is the treasurer, unopposed. They're making up lists of slates, and they're putting on top political leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, treasurer, Howard Chinley, lady vice chairman, Camille Robinson-Regis, and then they put in their name. But they are not on our slate. They are not on Team Rowley. They're trying to confuse people. And as Foster used a term called Zandoli, all of you who are from the country will know what a zandoli is. It's a lizard. It's a lizard, a particular type of lizard that comes out at night. And I have noticed in this election, people saying all sorts of things. My opponent, for example, in this election, I saw him on TV talking about how he supported Dr. Rowley in the 2014 leadership election. At all. Not at all. I heard the gentleman in response to a criticism that I made, that I said I had not seen him in any PNM function since 2010, since the last election rally of 2010. In May 2010, I had not seen my opponent for 8 years. They asked him about that on TV. You feel going on TV will win the election. That will not win the election. Winning an election is grounding with people, grounding with the PNM as we are doing tonight, coming to meet you in your place of residence. So they asked him, what about that criticism that you were not seen in PNM functions for 8 years? He said, oh, I went to a few when I was invited. You ever hear more nonsense? You need to be invited to go to an annual convention of the PNM. You need to be invited to seek election and serve on the General Council of the PNM. You need to be invited to attend a PNM Family Day and Sports Day. Nonsense. So that's why I speak about Zandolis. They haven't been around the party. They haven't been in any party function for 8 years. And all of a sudden now they want to run the party and they want to contest against the Rowley slate. And I want to repeat something I said in another meeting. That particular individual, Mr. Hamid, who is running against me, in 2010, around September 2010, we were in opposition. We had lost the 2010 general election. And I was in my private office, my construction company, and this gentleman shows up, Mr. Hamid, and asked to see me. I said, no problem. You know, he was a cabinet colleague. We were just in government. Sure, I'll see you. Come into my office. I brought him in my office. I said, what can I do for you? He said, I have a letter here for you. I said, a letter? What are you talking about? He said, according to the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, while the political leader of the PNM is selected by the membership, by the delegates, because we hadn't gone to one man, one vote yet, in an annual convention, he said the opposition leader is selected by the elected members of parliament. I said, okay, I know that. I've been in parliament for a long time. I very well know that. And we all had signed a letter supporting Dr. Rowley as the opposition leader back in June or July 2010. So I said, so what have you come to see me for? He said, well, I have this letter here. And there are spaces for elected PNM MPs to put their names. I said, to do what? They say, well, once we get enough of you all to write this letter and sign it and say that you no longer support Dr. Rowley as leader of the opposition, we will remove him and put somebody else in. So he shows me this letter. We, the undersigned, elected PNM members of parliament, no longer support Dr. Rowley as leader of the opposition, and 12 blank spaces. And we support blank. They didn't even put the name as to who we were supposed to support as the new opposition leader. So I watched this man. I say, how many names do you need? He said, well, it's 12, so we need a majority. It's 7. I say, go and get 6 and come back. Well, man called me a little girl. He said, I'm stupid. He said, I will never make it in politics. This is me, having been elected at that time for almost 20 years. I will not make it in politics. He called me all kind of names I cannot repeat in this meeting. Run out my office cursing me. And I have not seen that gentleman since then, September 2010. And this is a man that says he supports Dr. Rowley as leader. Give me a break. Give me a break. So I am telling you this story here tonight because it is very, very important that you understand what is going on. Do you remember in the 2014 election, there was a campaign to move Dr. Rowley as political leader of the PNM on the basis of his skin color? All you remember that? How they say Dr. Rowley was too black to be the political leader of the PNM and too black to be prime minister? Well, guess who was at the forefront of that charge? the same Mustafa Abdul Hamid. I have to face these people now. These people who are conspiring for years to undermine and sabotage Dr. Rowley. No way, it's not going to happen. And I expect you, the membership of the PNM, to be intelligent and to understand that the chairmanship of a great political party like the PNM, it is not a joke. It is not a joke. You need somebody with experience, somebody with proven management capability, somebody who's rooted in PNM. I joined the PNM in 1987 when PNM had 3 seats in the parliament, and I'll tell you what happened. In those days, I was involved in sailing. I used to sail every weekend. I used to go down to the Yachting Association in Chaguaramas and sail a little sailboat in races every weekend. And many members of the club were of the higher society. And they used to all talk when the race was over. They sit down by the bar, you have a drink and so on. So I sitting down one day, December 1987, PNM get thrown out of office December 1986. It's a year after. And I'm listening to these businessmen talking. And they're talking about PNM. They say PNM dead. Only a madman would join PNM now. I walk in the Balizi house the next day and join PNM. I say, well, I must be mad. Because there was something about them that I just didn't like. You know, when your blood don't take to people. You know, they have sore losers. Well, they were sore winners. You know, they win and they still want to mash PNM into the ground. I just didn't like them. So I joined the PNM December 1987. And then a few months later, I have to give this story. Dr. Rowley has a different version of it. But my version is correct. I was a lecturer at the University of the West Indies at the time. I was writing a column in the Guardian every Friday. It was called What Really Matters. And I was dropping lash on the NAR every Friday. Mine was the only pro-PNM column in any daily newspaper at that point in time. I wrote 100 articles promoting the PNM and lashing the NAR. This is 1990, 1989, 1991 I'm talking about. This is as far back as I'm going. So because I was, Dr. Rowley says I was the only column that was not anti-PNM. That's his version. My version, I was the only pro-PNM column in the papers. So the leadership of the party decided to seek me out. Dr. Rowley was head of seismic research at UWI at the time. I was a lecturer in faculty engineering. So he came looking for me. So I come out of my office and I'm going to walking down the corridor and I see this fella walking around. He had hair on his head at that time. Was not looking like how he looked now. I see this fella wandering around. I say, can I help you, sir? He says, yes. I'm looking for a fella called Imbut. I say, well, that's me. He said, Manning want to talk to you. I said, Manning? Just to tell you, I wasn't really deep in the politics at this time. I said, Manning who? He said, Patrick Manning. I said, oh, you mean the political leader of the PNM? He said, yes. Let me go. I said, no problem. So I went down the road with Dr. Rowley. I believe we traveled in his vehicle. We went down to Frederick Street, Chepstow House, where the opposition office was at that time. I met Mr. Manning, I met Dr. Seth, who was then chairman, and I was invited to join the PNM team in terms of writing speeches, in terms of writing responses to budget addresses and so on. And then eventually I was asked to be a PNM candidate in 1991. And it's an interesting story. I had written 100 articles for The Guardian, dropping lash on the NAR, promoting the PNM. As soon as I was announced, this was around February of 1991, as a prospective PNM candidate, and I sent in my article, they refused to publish it. I called The Guardian and said, what's going on? Therese Mills was the editor at the time. She said, you see you? Now that you've been announced as a PNM candidate, I will not allow you to write in this newspaper. I said, right, no problem. So we went through and we campaigned and we won the 1991 election. And we've been in government, out of government, back in opposition, back in government, back in opposition. I've been in opposition 3 times, in government 3 times. I've been an elected MP for 27 years. I've been a principal author for every single PNM general election manifesto since 1991. So I'm rooted in PNM policy. I understand the PNM. And I've been with PNM in the good times, and I've been with PNM in the bad times. And I want to tell you here tonight, this is not a time for the party to take leave of its senses and make a mistake and elect people whose only claim to fame is that they've been trying to undermine Dr. Rowley for the last 8 years. More than 8 years. More than 8 years. Because I went back and I looked at a Hansard report as I wind up now. I was remembering something with the same Hamid fellow. There was a debate in Parliament in October 2009, October 21st, 2009. And we were validating the Commission of Inquiry into the construction sector. And I remembered Mr. Hamid being very, very derogatory to Dr. Rowley in that debate. But I said, let me go and read it. So I went and searched the parliamentary record, and I pulled it up, and I saw what he said. And even now, 10 years later, I'm shocked. Imagine in that debate, Mr. Hamid launched a blistering attack on Dr. Rowley and quarreled with him, and actually said, to my amazement, that when he was made a senator in 1987, people in the PNM were saying, who is Rowley, where he come from? This is Dr. Rowley, who contested the Tobago West seat in 1981 under George Chambers. But Hamid was saying that because he was trying to get back at Dr. Rowley, because, you know, he just wanted to hate, you know, get back at him. And these are the kind of people who are putting themselves forward now. You could imagine Hamid working with Dr. Rowley as chairman of the PNM? No way. No way. And we need our other candidates. Look at the diversity of our slate. We have almost every race in our slate. We have kind of white man, Chinese, Indian, African. We have woman. We have old. We have young. We have people from the north, people from the south, people from central. Dr. Rowley says he's from Tobago. People from the east. Look at our slate. It's diverse in terms of background, in terms of experience, in terms of geography, in terms of gender, in terms of ethnicity. And look at the talent that combined slate will bring to this PNM. And I can tell you here tonight, every single member of Team Rowley is loyal and committed to helping the political leader, to making sure we go forward as a united team into the 2019 election and into the 2020 general election, which we will win. We will win once you put the proper group of people to run your political party. Political party is serious business, and you need serious people to run it, not Zandolis, not people who pop out of the hole after 8 years of hiding, not inexperienced people. Their time will come. It is not their time now. So I ask you to support Team Rowley. I ask you to support Dr. Rowley. I ask you to support the PNM, and the PNM will prevail. Thank you.
Shining on my face again.
That is your chairman of the People's National Movement, Colum Imbert. Colum Imbert, as chairman, follows in the footsteps of Lenny Saith, who served as chairman of this great party, Linda Babolal, who served as chairman, Franklin Khan, our most recent chairman, Don Donaldson, who served as chairman of this great party. And that is the caliber of person we want as chairman of this great party, ladies and gentlemen. Colum Imbert for chairman of the People's National Movement. Our political leader has said, and I quote from his address at the 45th Annual Convention of the PNM, Today's event is yet another step in our party's preparations to contest the next general elections and to go on to form the next government of Trinidad and Tobago. What we must refer to, the vision, our policy framework, simply because the planning framework is aspirational. It sets out a vision for the kind of society and economy we wish to create for the benefit of all our people. We must have a national election contract with fundamental principles. And these principles are, and I'm still quoting, morality in public affairs, personal responsibility, generosity, being our brother's keeper, our environment's protector, equity, productivity, subsidiarity. Ladies and gentlemen, how many other political leaders have spoken to their party faithful in this visionary way? Keith Rowley is a visionary. He is transformational. He has democratized our party, introducing the one man, one vote. He is the one who is taking us forward to build a new Balizé House. He is the one who took us in government to introduce Vision 2020. He is also credited with being one of the best, if not the best, housing minister that this country has ever had. And ladies and gentlemen, as Prime Minister, he is shaping up to be one of the best, if not the best Prime Minister that this country will ever have. And ladies and gentlemen, as political leader, he is following in the footsteps of the great Dr. Eric Williams, of the esteemed George Chambers, and of late, the revered Patrick Manning. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Rowley is the right leader at the right time. And I ask you tonight to continue to put your faith in Keith Rowley as he puts his faith in you, the people of the PNM, and more so in you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Rowley has chosen his slate. He has determined who are the people that he, as political leader, wants to work with as real, experienced, and dependable. And I say to you tonight that Keith Rowley is real. He is experienced, and God knows he has proven himself to be highly dependable. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you tonight to join me in welcoming to the podium Keith Rowley, political leader of the PNM and Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes I am, yes I am, yes I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. I believe every lie that I ever told.
Thank you very much, Lady Vice Chairman of the People's National Movement and Member of Parliament for Aruka Maloney, Minister of Planning and Development, Mrs. Camille Robinson-Regis, my other party officers present here tonight, members of the executive of TOCO, Sangre Grande, Kamuto, Manzanilla, visitors to the area, particularly those of you from the far north coast, led by the Venerable Chairman Terry Rondon, visitors, all members of the media, those of you following us at home, a very good night to you from the People's National Movement platform here in Sangre Grande. I also want to acknowledge all those party members who are here with me tonight and who have offered themselves to serve you as members of the national executive of this People's National Movement. They have been introduced to you, most of them tonight, and I, having been elected unopposed, I want to identify myself to you tonight here in Sangre Grande. We have started a campaign for the national executive a few weeks ago. That's those of us in this team that I endorse, which is being called the team that is real, the team that is experienced, and the team that is dependable. But before this team came into being, a number of other persons had indicated either directly or indirectly a willingness to serve. And as political leader of the party, what I did, I waited to see who was offering themselves. Because, you know, there was an election 2 years ago. And at that time, the posts of political leader, chairman, general secretary were not up because we were on the 4-year regime. Those who were on the 2-year regime were up. And I took the position then that I would not, as leader, endorse any group of candidates, and I think I probably only endorsed one candidate. And the reason for that is that we had a treasurer in office at the time who had indicated a willingness to run again. And as leader of the party, I was very dissatisfied with the performance of that treasurer. And as you know me, Trinidad and Tobago, you know me, I don't put water in my mouth to talk, not publicly, and more so, not privately. On that occasion, I called the treasurer and I said to him, I am dissatisfied with your performance and I will not be supporting you for the position of treasurer. Because I felt that the party needed a treasurer who could do the treasurer's job. And if you're not willing to do the job or you're not able to do the job, it is then my job to remove you. So I said to him, I will not be supporting you for the position of treasurer. And he said, well, I'm still going to run for the position. And I said, that is mine. I fought for that right. I fought for the right of any party member to contest for any position in this party. So when he said to me, I am going to run for it, supporting that. But you don't have any right to win. You have a right to run, but you have no right to win. It's up to me and responsible party members to determine if, like in that situation, if because you have a right to run, we'll allow you to come and do another term of non-performance as treasurer. And party members, you responded handsomely. He lost his deposit. And that's how the party functions. And here we are again in this critical time of 2018. What I said when I waited for a while and the elections were called, I said, I would look to see who is offering themselves, and I will endorse those persons who I believe are the best persons to serve in those positions at this time. Because you see, as political leader, I have a job that none of you have. You heard a while ago that the role of the chairman is to run the executive of the organization. If you look at our party structure, at the top of it, you see the chairman. When Balize House has a meeting of the general council, I am there as a member of the executive, but the council is run by the chairman. And if the chairman is absent, it is the vice chairman who takes over. And if both of them are absent, well, the boss takes over. the lady vice chairman takes over. That's the hierarchy in our party constitution. Not the political leader. The political leader has a job to make sure that the political affairs of the party are the best. And that has to do with knowing what is going on, positioning the party, leading us into battle, and winning elections so that the party's policies and programs can become the country's policies and programs. That's what it's about. So, on this occasion, I announced to the party members that I will be supporting a slate. And the RED, the real means, we want people who are committed to the organization to thick and thin. You don't want people like Ronald Boynes, who one day you're in the PNM, next day you're in the UNC, next day you're in the PNM, you don't know where they belong. You want people who are real. You stand with the party through thick and thin. You could imagine you're going to play for West Indies, you bat, you see you score 150 for 5, you come into bat and you lost your wicket stupidly. No, that's when you got to put on your head and bat to put on a score. Because when you put runs on the board, then you could try and win the match. That is the kind of person you need. You need people who are real supporters of this great organization. Not 1 foot inside and 1 foot outside. And then, of course, as the earlier speakers point out to you, as if they needed to, this political party is required to win elections, local and general and THA, to be able to manage this country's affairs. Because no other political organization has demonstrated the longevity or the willingness or the competence or the ability to run our affairs. And that's why Trinidad and Tobago's future is tied with the PNM's behavior. Not just winning elections. When we are in the opposition, we have to behave well in the opposition too. And we demonstrated that. So these people who are running for office on this occasion, why I ask you to support me in identifying them, because I know them and I know the party more than you. I have been around. I have been in the party since 1974. I've served 2 terms in the opposition. I've served many terms in the cabinet, and I've run this party as leader since 2010. And now, if I look at what is available, give me a little credit for being able to identify those who are best suited to lead us at this point in time. So, what will happen if I choose all of them from Diego Martin West? Because we have the talent there, you know. But then Sangre Grande will say, what's going on here? And what will happen if I go to the Women's League and choose only women? And then the men will say, discrimination, because the talent is there. And what will happen if I go by Mr. Padmo and choose only Padmo and his friends and colleagues of his age? And you will say, oh, what happened to the young people? And what if I allow Laurel and Ndale to run the show? You say, what is this? But what I've done, I've tapped into every single area of in the party to ensure that the party represents the entire country from Point Fortin to Sangre Grande, from Carinash to Charlottesville. And we've got our women in, we've got our experienced persons in, we've got our youth in, and we got Imbert in. So this team that I'm asking you to support, it represents the country, because that is the PNM. We are the only national political party in Trinidad and Tobago. And when you look at our executive or our parliamentary collection or general election candidates, you must see that national representation. And I dare say this slate is the most balanced slate. And every single one of them can come to this podium and impress you as to why they're qualified to hold office in the national executive. You see, there are some people who have a problem when we of the PNM say, PNM till we're dead. My mother used to say that, My mother used to say that. And she died at PNM. But she will give you reasons why. And she had 2 reasons. One, without a PNM policy in public housing, she would have never lived in a house like she died in. 2, without the PNM's education policy. Her only son would have never gone to high school, and she died on that. And then, of course, to be able to be successful in the political arena of this turbulent Trinidad and Tobago, you have to have teamwork at the level of the party. Without teamwork, you're gone. And if you look at the history of those who have failed, the parties we have defeated, invariably, it is because they didn't have the kind of teamwork that we have demonstrated since 1956. I want to talk a little story tonight. Because you see an election, I don't want you all making any mistake by accident. And come and tell me after you didn't know you voted Trump, right? So I want you all to understand what is happening. You see the PNM, Dr. Williams he drove the intellectual bringing into being, giving birth to this party. He led us from the podium. He led the country with his intellect and his understanding of our people in these islands. But you see the politics on the street, on the ground? Any political party that has a constitution like ours, with the strength of that constitution, where you do not have a synergy between the political leader and the chairman, you're doomed to failure. Go back and look at our history. Dr. Williams and Francis Privat. Go back and look. Francis Privat worked closely with George Chambers. When Mr. Manning took over at the end of Privat's tenure, and Dr. William would have gone a little while earlier, you had Mr. Manning working very closely with Dr. Babulal and Dr. Steve. And I have had the opportunity, coming out of the opposition, to have worked with Franklin Khan, and we worked very closely, a tradition of the People's National Movement. Party members, don't take that for granted. That is the glue that holds our organization together. Now, if you want to experiment, learn your history first. Basdeo Panday was Prime Minister. The UNC was in government with a nice majority. They go and try to play PNM and had election for the leadership. And Ramesh Miraj won as deputy political leader. Remember that story? And then Basdeo Panday say, I am not working with he at all. I put up Carlos John, all vote for Basdeo Panday, election or no election, and not working with he. Now he could have said that out of pique. But what that indicated to the party and to us in the opposition is that there was a serious problem in the UNC. And if Panday keep going down that road, he cut in track for Guti to run and did this PNM Guti run. Because the minute that started, it was the beginning of the end of the UNC as an organized fighting force in that period. You go and give me Mustafa Hamid as chairman of the party and walk that same road. Because you see, as I looked at those who have offered themselves, many of them are offering themselves for the first time. It's a good thing because one man, one vote allows you, the members, to take that responsibility, you know. They can't elect themselves, you know. They have one vote, but they could offer themselves. And if you look at those who are outside of the slate that I'm endorsing, many of them are first-timers, even first time in holding office in the party. The first time Patrick Manning ran for office in the PNM, you know, he lost. You all know that? You're all too young to know that. But I mean, it's a process. You take part in the process, and it's educational, it's elevating. But there are some people who believe that we are crazy to take a man who has a career of being hateful and in opposition to everything that we're doing now, who never hold office anywhere of any consequence in the party, and make him chairman of the party. Mustafa's claim to fame is committing treason in the PNM, you know. When you going out there trying to mobilize party MPs to overthrow the leader in the parliament, that is close to treason. And if I was the kind of person who was affected and upset by that, you would have heard about this long time, but I am not. I am focused on what I had to do. So now there's a campaign and we're coming to the end of the campaign. It's a good time to look back at what the problem is. Those who are now absolutely sure that they could run the party better than me and my team. Let's compare the records. Let's compare the records. They're saying that the PNM was in great shape. Everything was fine. And I am now the problem in the PNM. The leadership is the problem. And if they provide new leadership, they'll fix that problem. But let me tell you the problem that they're going to fix. Because you see, I didn't just get up one morning and become leader of the PNM. Eh? Let me walk you back to where it came from so we could compare notes and see where we're really going or where we came from. I was not always PNM leader. I became leader of this party by accident because we had won a term of election in 2007. We should have been in election until 2012. I got up one morning, Hamid and them called election in 2010. We lost it. And I went to Balize House the day after we lost the election. And at General Council, the party was told the president is waiting for a leader of the opposition to continue the parliamentary process. The General Council, remember there was no election, eh? The General Council looked at the MPs in the lower house because that is where the opposition leader comes from. The General Council told the members of parliament who were elected that they should appoint me, support me as opposition leader. Because that is a business that is outside of the party, outside of the parliament. Members of parliament have to write the president and tell them who they support. So the General Council gave members of parliament an instruction. Not all of them were very happy about that because they had their horse in the race that we lost before. And I was nobody's horse and I was nobody's jackass. So therefore, I had to stand up and wait until they come to their mind. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, the members of parliament wrote the president and told him, because they have to do it in writing, they wrote the president and told him that they're supporting me, and thus I was appointed opposition leader. Once I accepted that position, I knew I had taken on a very serious responsibility. And I could not spend any time with the likes of Hamid and others because they had a different agenda. Their agenda was to deal with me. My agenda was to deal with the country's problems and the government of the day. But I had to deal with Balize House too. This perfect period and this perfect organization that I am now not carrying on. You know what my portion was? One of the first meetings I had was in a bank. Because a banker called me and told me, hey, your party owes this bank $4 million. And if it's not paid, we will have to, you know, the only asset the party had was Balize House. So my first job as leader of the PNM was to save Balize House. The second thing, I think was only that, PTSC sending a bill for 800,000. TTT had whatever it's called, CNMG or what it's called, they had another bill for hundreds of thousands. And we have staff to pay in Balize House. That was my starting point as opposition leader. I can tell you today, now that there is a campaign on the basis of the performance of the leader, Balize House is not only safe and secure, but we are building a brand new Balize House. I can tell you again, I've mobilized this party with all the resources available to us, and we've liquidated our debts. I can also tell you my portion at that time. We had an election to face. We had by-elections. We had THA election. We had general election. I can report to you today that during that period of my stewardship with those elections come and gone, we actually won every seat in a THA election. And today we continue. We continue. As a matter of fact, the seat of Providence Moriah, Miss Noel Moriah, was never won by the PNM. First time it was won under my leadership of the People's National Movement. That's my hometown. We fought and won the by-elections and built the steps to the general election. And we fought and won a general election that many of them didn't think we would win. And the hard part about that, the very PNM people who didn't think we could win the election, they are the ones now coming and being critical of the success that we have had. They don't know what success is. They know what hate is. They know what undermining is. They know what ambition is, but they don't know what success is. They don't know what success is. But during that period of dealing with those difficulties, I also focused on advancing this party. And that is why you're all here tonight. Because normally, you wouldn't have been here at this time. Because the political leader under the party's then constitution had a 5-year term. And that 5th year usually coincided with the election year. And even if party members were dissatisfied with the leader, or the leadership, or the leading, it coming up for review at the time of a general election, whether you like it or not, it was never a good time to make any change in the leadership. So what did I do? I encourage you, after a year of consultation, to revisit the Constitution and make changes to allow party members to have the opportunity to decide who should take the party into the next general election and give you ample time so to do. First thing we did, I reduced my own term from 5 years to 4 years. Meaning that in 2014, rather than wait until 2015 in the election year to make the change, I resigned my position as political leader. And with the change of 4 years meant that I had to offer myself again with a clean tabletop, tabula rasa, and gave you the opportunity to select somebody to take us into the election of 2015. And you did so, and I was challenged. It wasn't like now, where I don't have a challenger. I had the A team then. I had the opposition A team challenging me then. And the challenge was very real, and we had a very serious election then. And with your support, I was elected handsomely as political leader of the People's National Movement. And of course, now that that has happened, it comes around again. We are here now in 2018, where you can now make a change. You had the option up until a few days ago to change the leadership, because the new arrangements in the Constitution, if you wanted to put up a candidate to remove the current leader because you are dissatisfied, this was your time, and you had ample time to do it now, and the general election is due in 2020, so you had the change to be made, and you could build your new leader and so on. That is what the party operates under now. And I must say, it was a touch of wisdom and understanding. I could say that I was the best candidate, but I couldn't have been the only one. But as it turned out, on the day when nomination closed, the party took the position that it was quite satisfied with my stewardship, and therefore I am returned elected as your leader. And you having done that, I think it is my duty to say to you that what I am asking you to do here now is to put in place not just the leader for the fight ahead, but the leader with a team, your election campaign team going forward, because you know, we had a tradition of not having elections for the executive during election years, you know. And I could have been the luckiest political leader, because the next 3 years coming up is election after election after election. So I could have sat there and just be elected by virtue of those provisions of the Constitution. But now, this year, there's no election. It's working out fine. You are free to make the changes. We have a local election in 2019. So whoever you elect now, who you are electing or what you are electing is the campaign executive for 2019. And then we move straight into general election for 2020. So your campaign team should have a dry run for the local, and regardless of the results there, you get ready for the 2020. And then come 2021, we go to Tobago for the THA election. No rest for the executive from now until 2022. That's what you've been asked to do. So you don't make any mistake and elect any OJT, and OJTs might have skills, you know. Don't just elect ambition which has no stuff stirred or otherwise. And I could tell you, 2014 was the A-team opposition. 2018 now is a B team or a C team because they have nothing to recommend them, you know. Any team led by Mustafa Hamid can't be a serious team. You don't tell me that you absent yourself from the party for 8 years. And Mr. Imbert said the last time he saw him was in his office. Well, the last time I saw him was in my office, where he came to visit me, fuming with the hatred he had from 2009. Mr. Imbert made reference to his performance in the parliament, and it's there for all of you to read. However, when he came to see me in 2010, I had just made the presentation for the first budget response from the opposition after we crashed the party in 2010. So I, as opposition leader, had to respond to the government first budget response. And his conduct was so disgraceful on that occasion in my office that as he left my door, I said to him quietly, maybe he didn't hear, that you will never enter my office again. So having tried to undermine us on the outside and failed, the election provides an opportunity to come and undermine us from the inside, because Mustafa Hamid spent the last 5 years or more telling voters, PNM members, members in the mosque all over this country not to vote for the PNM. And I have a duty to let you know that so you don't elect him as chairman of the People's National Movement. Any person who take the mission to go out there and tell voters don't vote for the PNM, you are disqualified to be elected on the executive of the People's National Movement. You have to believe in this party. You have to believe in this party, and you have to be trustworthy. And if that is the person you want to put as chairman of this party at this time, then you could kiss the next 2 elections bye-bye. Because you put that, you're on the outside. Right? I mean, I wouldn't want to call them termites, but termites make their own air-conditioned track to travel, but they want to get on the inside. So after all that behavior, right? While we there fighting in the opposition, while I am there fighting to save Balize House, while I am there fighting to pay the bills, fighting to pay the staff, he walk around with a letter to undermine me. And he has not changed, because they somehow believe that that is what it's all about. That is not what it's all about. You have to have a commitment to something. You have to have a value system. And if you're part of an organization like a political party, this undermining is not an attribute. Here it is. I'm having sleepless nights trying to figure out how to get from opposition to government. He can't point to a single thing he has done in that period from 2010 to now that contributed to a PNM victory in a constituency, in a local government seat, in a general election. He can't point to a single thing. But you are being told tonight by Mr. Imbert, he walking around with a letter to my colleagues who I am depending on in the parliament to go behind my back to tell the president to go against the General Council instructions and remove Rowley as leader and put who? Well, it couldn't be him, because he wasn't in the parliament. He was hoping that he got connivance from some other elected person. And when you think you have an opposition working for you to go to government, Hamid would have undermined or capsized the whole thing. And then, of course, that would make a lot of nice news. But the bottom line is, the people of Trinidad and Tobago would have been deprived of a PNM government. And you ask yourself, who would have been taking the country's burden now? Who? And who? This is no joke. This is serious business. This is serious business. And if you want to run for office, you must be able to come in front of this podium like Ndale can do and come out with the arm long as to his service and location. Like Laurel Lizama can do. She can tell you she has spoken on more public platform in PNM elections than virtually any of us in this room because she has been PNM all her adult life. And of course, let me tell you all something. Let me tell you all something tonight. Our party is built on the foundation of interracial solidarity. And one of the strengths of this country is that we all accept that we are one people regardless of race, color, creed, or class. And in the face of that fundamental principle, don't be surprised from time to time that persons come to you and say that they are PNM, but him but is a white man, you don't want him. Or this one is a this, you don't want him. Anytime they come with that, you go to the party's constitution that we are one race, color, creed, or class. Does not matter. It is your character and your commitment to country and your patriotism that matters, that makes you a member of the PNM. You know, that foolishness. And they believe they could do it in secret. Do it in secret and obtain their ambition, carry out their agenda, because nobody would be bold enough to talk about it. But during the period while I was saving Balizi House, putting a team together, fighting the government to get the PNM into office, I was the subject of their discourse. And the subject of that discourse was my unfortunate color, according to them. But I tell them, see me? I am a proud black man. And any of them who figure that is a handicap, think twice. You've handed me an advantage. You've handed me an advantage. And that was the conduct, you know. That was the conduct. And I know them one by one. If I may quote a friend of mine in Tobago, from when I ran for election in Tobago in 1981, there's this village called Buku in Tobago that's a PNM stronghold. And 12 persons didn't vote for the PNM in that election. And when I got there the evening, the night after the result, there was a very upset old man, Mr. Johnson. He said, 12 of them vote against you here, you know. And I know every one of them personally, you know. And that is where I am now. I know all of them personally. You, the proud people of Sangre Grande. You, the proud people of Sangre Grande, the constituency of Elmina Clark Allen. I had the very unpleasant task of putting my signature as political leader of the PNM to a party member in this constituency, saying to him and his cohorts, if you collect another $1 for the PNM, while not being authorized so to do, I'm going to put you in the hands of the police. Because everybody know that half of them after that collecting money in the name of the PNM, and you go and give them office, now you put them in the bank, and after that, you could imagine receiving a letter from the political leader of the party telling you, keep your hands off PNM money. But you want to run for office? And I will know that and allow that to happen? No way. No way. No way. And I would allow you to, I would allow you to put the Trojan horse as chairman of this party, coming to fix what? Well, if it ain't broke, it ain't need no fixing, it needs support. It needs you to go from strength to strength, and you don't need those who had no time to put us where we are. And that is why tonight I am particularly proud to call up the following persons to represent us in the next election, to elect the next executive of the PNM to face the hills we have to climb and the valleys to cross in the years ahead. And I want to call up first and foremost, Party Chairman 2018, the long-standing, the dependable Colum Imbert. And for all those who don't know our country's history and our party's history, I want to call up the Venerable Overend Padmore, the walking encyclopedia, who will train our young people and let us know where we came from and where we can go. Overend Padmore for Education Officer. I would like to call up the person who probably will be the hardest working person in the party, because that is the person who the political leader and the chairman work through to keep our party as the functioning organization. For General Secretary, the experienced, the committed, the hard-working, for General Secretary, Foster Cummins. And when, you know, every constituency, always to give life to the politics of the community, you have a bacchanalist in the park somewhere. You have a confusion maker. You have an over-ambitious person. Every constituency has that, and then sometimes it blows over into bacchanal. And then either the chairman or the political leader has to send somebody from Balize House to come and tell all you behave all yourself. A lie? Well, the man who does that is the election officer, and that person is Indar Parasram. And when you're getting ready to fight the elections, to choose your candidates, to make sure you're complying with all our requirements in the party, and the political leader needs to know how things are on the ground out there, the person who speaks to him is the elections officer, and Indar Parasram. He has fought more elections, managed more candidates, chaired more constituencies than virtually anybody in this party. Indar Parasram for election officer. And then, of course, you have another one who is supposed to be out there, collecting the information, bringing it to you, making sure that you are always read and ready. And of course, experience is most important. And this must be the most experienced man, because he has held office across the party except Lady Vice Chairman. And this is Abdon Mason for Field Officer. Abdon Mason. Now, there's a young man who is brave. He's been into the jaws of the lion without fear for the PNM. He's been into Chaguanas West and take on Kamala and Jack Warner when nobody else will. He cut his teeth in Chaguanas West, and then he went to Caroni Central and he fought. And he almost won that seat. But it's not about winning seats. It's about being PNM, PNM, PNM. Avinash Singh for our social media officer. And of course, they say youth is wasted on the young. But we'll take a chance and waste a bit of our youth on Ndale Young, because he represents the best of our party's young people. Hard-working, a member of the General Council, a temporary senator, a true PNM stalwart. And he is here to work. He is here to work representing our youth, for Youth Officer Ndale Young. And then we have, what can I say about Irene? I'm only sorry that we didn't put a restriction in the party's constitution that you have to put up a deposit to be able to be a candidate, because we would have made some money, I'm sure. And if all the rest didn't win some money first in this election, Irene would have made them lose their deposit. Operations Officer. And of course, when he's not talking to the police, when he is not trying to get the police to do their job properly, he is running for Vice Chairman of the People's National Movement. The man from Faizabad to San Fernando, from San Fernando to Diego Martin, from Diego Martin to St. Joseph. He's been everywhere for Vice Chairman of the People's National Movement, Robert Lehunt. And of course, the face, the voice, and the signature of the PNM in election, out of election. Good day news, bad day news. You want to put the best face and the best voice and the best experience forward to speak for us at all times. Laurel Lezama for PRO. And let me say something here, right? Laurel joined this late because I thought she was being too much of a mommy and didn't have the time. And then she told, who told you that? That was last time. So she's now available. By that time, Fitzgerald Hines had offered himself to run. And because I did not want the executive, if we could avoid it, to be dominated by the parliament and the cabinet, I asked Mr. Hines to step aside, and he couldn't have stepped aside for a better person. That is how the PNM functions. That's how we function. Teamwork. We do the best for the team, and the team is Team Trinidad and Tobago, led by the People's National Movement. That is what we are. Now, we have here, come Jocelyn, come. Because some people in Sangre Grande may not have seen you for a long time. Elected unopposed, our welfare officer, the one and only Jocelyn Bodden. She takes care of all our commitments to our party members, and on occasion, the welfare officer makes sure that we are the caring party that we say we are. Welfare officer, I don't know that there's any other political party with a lineup like this. And of course, the lady vice chairman, head of the Women's League, head of the Women's League. Because with the Women's League, you've won. That's why the PNM wins. Without the Women's League, there's no PNM. So tonight, the head of the Women's League is endorsing this slate and this team. Because you see, teamwork. Oh yes, we have here in the audience. Come and join us. The lady who elected unopposed, she is the labor leader, guiding us along the path of our compliance with those who would shut down the country, march around the country, all of that. So those are her friends, right? But it's all right. And of course, Howard Chinley, coming out of the Youth League into the cabinet, he is so much PNM that he didn't take much persuasion to come and fill the slot of treasurer. He isn't here tonight. And of course, I want to pay particular tribute to the current Assistant General Secretary, Daniel Duki, who has been running the affairs at Balize House without fuss, efficiently. You have not had a complaint about the functioning of Balize House as Daniel Duki moves smoothly into General Secretary position when Ashton Ford resigned. That is how the PNM functions. And I want to take a moment here to thank Mr. Franklin Khan for his service as chairman of the party. He's had one or two health challenges, but that didn't hold him back. He was always available to do his job as chairman of the party. And he was very cooperative and hardworking with the executive, not just with me, the political leader. Because my style of management is to give people responsibility, give them distance to do it, and hold them accountable for their area of responsibility. And Chairman Franklin Khan has worked very well with this team that we have in office now. And as he's taking a leave of that office, we want to give him a round of applause for having been an outstanding chairman. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our party's election coming to a close. You are now the decider. because of the one man, one vote. This is just my selection of the officers who I believe will make a very good team. And I believe that it is teamwork that will take us forward. But this can't happen without you coming out on Sunday, the 30th of September, bringing out party members, because only party members are allowed to vote in this PNM election. But show your responsibility in accepting the role that you play at the level of the party group, at the level of the constituency. Come out and stand with this executive by giving them your vote. So at the night of the 30th of September, we will know we have in place at the leadership of the PNM an executive that has the full endorsement and support of the vast majority of members who choose to cast their vote on that day. And I'm sure Sangre Grande understands what I've told you tonight. Understand the seriousness of this. It's not a practice match. It's not an OJT application form. It is about running Trinidad and Tobago. And these people have what it takes for this term. Some of them have come across from the last term, and you need that continuity. But we've infused new blood because there's a changing of the guard. Mr. Padmore may do 2 or 3 terms. Justin may do another term. Mr. Imbert may do about 3 or 4 more terms. I may do 1 more term. But the bottom line is, what you see here is a party that is not about the next election. We are about the future of Trinidad and Tobago, and we look beyond the election. I distinctly recall when I was in the position of Ndali Young. In 1980, I stepped on a podium for the first time as a PNM spokesperson. And on that night in Belgarden, I had as my leader over on Padmore, 1980, 38 years ago. And in that same election, the youth of the PNM, we were sent to Bethel. Foster spoke about a lady from Bethel. Bethel giving us trouble since then. Since then. We used to have to go in there in the daytime. You couldn't go in the night. So hostile were they. And of course, they sent the young people to face that. And the young people in that campaign was Patrick Manning, Keith Rowley, and Ian Anthony. That's our party. So you understand that we are always ready and available to serve the public, even when we have to contrive. And the party goes from strength to strength. We have succession planning in this team. We have people who have demonstrated a willingness to take advice, because I'll tell you something else too. Foster Cummins came up sometime earlier and said he was interested in running for General Secretary. Ashton Ford was available. And Foster will tell you, as leader, I told him, Foster, I cannot support you as General Secretary if Ashton Ford is available. And what did he do? He said, okay, he went to another office. He ran for elections officer, and he did a very good job holding office as election officer. Ashton Ford has resigned the position, and Foster came and he said, I am running for the position of General Secretary. And I had no difficulty in saying to him, you have my fullest support. And tonight, I support Foster Cummins for General Secretary. That is how it is done. That is how it is going to be done in the PNM if we are to cross the rapids and swim in the swift currents and climb the mountains we have to climb. And those who don't understand that still don't understand why this is the PNM 63 years and going strong. That's why we lasted for 63 years, and that's why we defeated 63 political parties. You members, the one man, one vote that you supported in the change of the Constitution, you now have that responsibility to come out and cast that vote. There's no delegate between you and them. It is you voting for or against them. Because to not vote for this team, you are voting against the team. And if you are voting against the team, I presume that you're voting for something better. And if you know that there's something better, then it is your right to choose it. But if it's an experiment, because somebody has scores to settle, or somebody cup of hatred overflowing, or somebody knows some magic thing that you don't know. It's not magic, it's hard work, and it's our constitution. So Sangre Grande tonight, I'm so glad to see so many of you out here. And I hope you remember where your other party members are, and you encourage them to come out to vote, because we are voting for the executive that will take us into 3 elections. Not 1, not 2, but 3 elections. 2019, 2020, and 2021. So the first time we'll make that clarion call is now. And the first time we'll celebrate you making the right decision is on Sunday night, next Sunday, 30th September, when you would have elected this team, and you would say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail. Thank you all very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to the political leader of the PNM. I just want to remind you that your areas for voting are St. Francis RC, Brierley Street, Sangre Grande, and Sangre Grande Government, Oropuch Road, Sangre Grande. Those are your polling stations. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the corporation has a presentation to make to the political leader. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all for attending. This has been one of our best meetings, I think, since we started. So I want to congratulate Toko Sangre Grande. It's well attended. Chairman, you ready? Right, the chairman has a presentation to make to the political leader.
Olga, say hello to Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Ballhead! Christopher, I love you!
I am taking this on advisement. I hope he has a permit. So I must tell you, I'm taking this to the police station. I'm not telling you which station I'm taking it to, but I'm taking it to the police station. And I learned that from police. They say if you're taking any illegal thing as a police officer, let them address it to the commissioner of police. So if you are apprehended along the way, I am in that situation now. Because this bird is a very special bird, but it requires a permit. Okay. I have witnesses, right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman Rondon. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much again for being here. Thank you for the hospitality of Chairman Rondon, for the hospitality of Member of Parliament, Glenda Jennings-Smith. And ladies and gentlemen, remember on September 30th, we are all voting Team Red and Rowley. Thank you very kindly. Good night. Get home safely. God bless you.
We are a chosen generation.